In the very heart of South America, a massive landmass of 8.5 million square kilometers stretches across the map. On this land, 215 million people live. That means 1 in every 35 people on Earth is Brazilian. But what makes this country special isn't just its size. Brazil is like an entirely different planet. Imagine the other side of the world from where you're sitting right now. Forests, wild animals, carnival, football, poverty, wealth, science, unbelievable natural phenomena. All of it exists in a single country, intertwined, colliding with each other. And from those collisions, sometimes beauty is born, sometimes chaos, and sometimes truly extraordinary things. Let's begin. One of the first things that comes to mind when you think of Brazil, Carnival. Every year in February, the world's biggest party kicks off in Rio de Janeiro. For 4 days, approximately 2 million people pour into the streets every single day. In total, over 5 million tourists arrive. Throughout Carnival, the city doesn't sleep. The music never stops. The dancing never ends. The colors never fade. But there's more behind Carnival than just fun. Samba schools spend an entire year preparing for this event. Thousands of costumes are designed, each one made by hand. Some costumes cost tens of thousands of dollars. The Samba groups competing in Carnival tell their chosen theme through dance, music, costumes, and set design. Some years it's a social critique, some years a historical event, some years an environmental issue. So inside this breathtaking spectacle, there's a deep message. But how did this carnival come to be? Its roots lie in the rhythms of enslaved people brought from Africa. Samba is a music that grew from pain. Centuries ago, a people who were silenced made their voices heard through drum beats. And today, those beats make millions of people dance at the same time. Carnival isn't just a party, it's a people's cry for existence. And the economic dimension of Carnival can't be ignored either. Rio de Janeiro generates approximately $1 billion in revenue during Carnival week. Hotels overflow, restaurants operate well beyond capacity, and street vendors earn a large portion of their annual income during these 4 days. So Carnival doesn't just feed the soul, it feeds stomachs too. But Brazil is more than just Carnival. Let's take a closer look at the cities. São Paulo. Home to 22 million people, this city is one of the largest in the world. If you want to hit the road during morning rush hour, adjust your schedule. Because in São Paulo, traffic jams can stretch up to 300 kilometers. Yes, a 300-kilometer line of cars. That's why people turn to helicopters. São Paulo surpasses even New York in the number of helicopters per capita. Wealthy Brazilians fly above the city's traffic to get to work. Below them, millions of people crawl through crowded, dirty, and dangerous roads. This inequality is Brazil's deepest wound. The country is one of the most unequal in terms of income distribution in the world. The wealthiest 1% holds 28% of the country's total wealth. To put that in concrete terms, Brazil's 6 richest people own as much wealth as the combined total of the 100 million people in the lowest income bracket. 6 people against 100 million. And this inequality shows itself most visibly in the favelas. You've probably heard the word favela, but you may not know the reality behind it. Around 16 million people in Brazil live in favelas. That number exceeds the total population of many countries. Favelas are unplanned structures built into hillsides, crammed together with no proper infrastructure, no clean water, no adequate health care. But here's the striking thing. Favelas are Brazil's most vibrant centers of cultural production. The roots of samba come from the favelas. Funk music emerged from the favelas. Capoeira, that unique dance-fighting art, was developed by enslaved people as a defense system against oppression. Art erupted from within suffering. Rio de Janeiro's most famous favela, Rocinha, functions like its own city. Between 70,000 and 150,000 people live there. It has its own markets, its own economy, its own rules. In places the state cannot reach, a different order operates. And who enforces that order? Unfortunately, most often armed groups. But in recent years, things have started to change. Some favela residents have launched their own businesses. Tours are being organized, outsiders are coming in, and the culture within the favelas is opening up to the world. Creativity evolves as a means of survival, and sometimes that creativity produces miracles. We now turn to Brazil's quietest yet most powerful side, the Amazon rainforest. Just hearing the name makes you feel something, doesn't it? Approximately 60% of Brazil is covered by these forests. 1/10 of all species on Earth live here, and incredibly, there are still tribes in the Amazon who have never made contact with the outside world, living in complete isolation. The Brazilian government knows where these tribes are, but deliberately stays away, because a simple virus from the outside world means death for these people. Their immune systems aren't equipped for the modern world. So right now, in 2026, there are people living completely unaware of civilization. This forest is also a regulator of the world's climate. They don't call it the lungs of the earth for nothing. But in the last decade, 15% of the Amazon has been destroyed. That's the equivalent of an area larger than France being wiped off the map entirely. And scientists say that if this destruction crosses a certain threshold, the Amazon will lose its ability to regenerate itself. There's no coming back from that point. So the future of the Amazon is the future of all of us. And now we come to one of Brazil's most striking realities: violence. Brazil has one of the highest murder rates in the world. Between 40,000 and 50,000 homicides are committed every year. That figure surpasses even many active war zones. Young black men are the biggest victims of this violence. In some parts of Brazil, a young black man between the ages of 15 and 29 lives in one of the most dangerous places on earth. So, where does the root of this violence lie? There is no single answer. There's poverty, there are drug cartels, there's a deep distrust of the state. But there's also a historical wound. Brazil was one of the last countries to abolish slavery. The system lasted until 1888, and that deep inequality still shows itself today in violent statistics. But within every darkness, a light is being sought. In some cities, murder rates have dropped significantly in recent years. Social programs have expanded. Investment in education has grown. Sports and arts projects aimed at young people are saving lives. Young people coming out of the favelas are choosing the stage over the street, the microphone over the gun. Brazil's battle isn't over, but it hasn't given up either. There's one more thing. Brazil's population is incredibly diverse. Perhaps no other country in the world holds people from so many different backgrounds. Indigenous peoples, people of African descent, Portuguese, Italians, Germans, Japanese, Lebanese, all living side by side. Brazil is home to the world's largest Japanese diaspora outside of Japan. Walk into São Paulo's Liberdade neighborhood and you'd think you were in Tokyo. Brazil is not a place where cultures melt into each other, but a place where they layer upon one another, and those layers create that one-of-a-kind Brazilian identity. There's another thing that comes to mind when you think of Brazil: football. But let me tell you something different. Brazil was the scene of the greatest trauma in world football history. The year 1950. Rio de Janeiro, Maracanã Stadium, 200,000 spectators. Brazil lost the World Cup final to Uruguay 2-1. Just a football match? No. That night in Rio, people poured into the streets in tears. Heart attacks were reported. Suicide cases increased. A football defeat became a national mourning. Brazilians still call that event Maracanazo, and the echoes of that pain are still felt 70 years later. Something similar happened again in 2014. This time on their own soil, in front of their own fans, they were crushed 7-1 by Germany. Social media broke down. Footage of fans crying on live broadcasts spread around the world. That match is still called Mineirazo in Brazil. Two different generations, two different devastations, but both point to the same truth. For Brazil, football isn't just a sport, it's a matter of identity. There's no end to telling Brazil's story. The world's largest wetland, the Pantanal, is here. The world's longest coastline belongs to Brazil. The Amazon River discharges more water into the sea than any other river on Earth, and 70% of that river flows through Brazil. Yet in the midst of all this greatness, all this richness, Brazil is still a country that hasn't reached its full potential. There's corruption, there's inequality, there's environmental destruction, but there's also an incredible energy for life. People are dancing, singing, embracing each other, holding on to life. Perhaps that is Brazil's greatest secret, to exist with this much joy in the face of this many problems, to remain this strong in the midst of this much fragility. Is Brazil finished? No, this story is only just beginning. Goodbye.